Good afternoon, everybody. This is an exciting time as a staff. This is fresh for the players and the staff. This is unbelievable. Had to get into spring practice. It's been a great start so far. We've thrown a lot at the kids, and it's been really cool to see how they've embraced our installs and embraced the grind of learning what we're doing offensively. I think it's really cool that this is a real crucial time for us to be able to set our standard of performance and to get our hands on our players. I think Coach Luke Day and the strength staff did an unbelievable job in the offseason of setting the tone for how we're going to work. And now as coaches, we get to start to piggyback off that and implement our standards and how we're going to play the game. But just can't really reiterate enough how excited our entire staff is of getting in here and getting spring started.
And with that, we'll open up for questions. Please use the raise hand function, as I think all of you know how by now. Chandler Mack with the first one.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this today. Hope you're doing well. Talking to the players last week, the thing they said a lot was each quarterback brings something different to the table. Talk to us about what you've seen from each guy, and have you learned something new from them over the past couple of weeks that maybe you didn't know about?
Yeah, I'll just go one by one. Luke Doty has got an unbelievable. He's a natural passer coming from the NFL. That's the one thing that you look for in the draft is you look for a big brain and a natural passer. He's got a big brain. I didn't know. I knew he was an above-the-line passer, but I didn't know how natural he was. I'm really excited to continue to work on his fundamentals and creating the best him that we can possibly do. But I'm really excited about how he's throwing the ball right now. Obviously, he's athletic and can run and make the plays with his legs, but it's really good to put him in situations where he's got to use his arm, and he's been I've been really pleased so far. I think Colton Gauthier is didn't surprise me, but it's shocking how much offense we have in right now and how he coming from, he should be a senior in high school right now, how he's been able to learn it, execute it, everything from the pre-snap stuff, the pre-snap run game, the pre-snap mic points, the protections, the protection adjustments. Like, we threw a ton on that kid, and he's done a really, really nice job. And then his size, he's put on some weight. He's almost 220 pounds. You can feel his presence out there. Again, elite arm talent, and just really excited where his game is going. JB is again, he's been in college, so we expected him to have a certain maturity about him. He's shown that. Again, I think he's worked really, really hard, and he come from more of a true spread type offense to where he's coming into more of a pro style scheme now. So he's adapting to what we're doing, but he's made some really good throws and flashed. Really pleased with his direction. And then Connor Jordan just works really, really hard. I think he surprises people sometimes with some of the throws that he makes. It doesn't surprise him. It doesn't surprise me. He plays with confidence. He leads in and out of the huddle and does a really nice job just executing the offense. So really pleased with where all of them are now. Again, just through 3 practices, but we're off to a good start.
Go to Dick Cox.
Hi, Marcus. I know it's early right now, though, but have you been able to implement a lot of the things that you've wanted to do with the talent that you inherited? And what are some of the positives you've seen over the last week or so?
Yeah, I keep, I'm excited about the talent that we inherited. I think Coach Muschamp and the guys did a really nice job of laying a good foundation offensively from a personnel standpoint. We've implemented a ton. And on purpose. 1, to teach the coaches what we're doing. 2, just to see how much our guys can do. And it's been really nice to see them go out and had 4-week, we call it towel ball. We had a 4-week stretch of walkthroughs where we couldn't have a ball out there. We executed some of our offense. And then through the first 3 practices, I sat down. Coach Rule was in town for pro day last week, and I sat down, was going through some stuff with him, and he's like, "Holy cow, y'all got a lot of offense in for 3 days." And we did that as a plan, but it's really just good to see how our guys are out there able to execute it and throw and catch and line up and do all the different things we ask them to do.
Eric Boynton.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Obviously, he's not able to go or not able to be full go yet physically as he continues to recover from his injury. But just wanted to get your early impressions of Marshawn Lloyd, and we got a chance to talk to him for the first time the other day, and just seems like a really down-to-earth, humble, good guy, and just want to get your thoughts there.
He's limited what he can do on the practice field, but the reps that he's getting, an individual in the weight room, pre-practice, is right up to what he's living up to what we've heard, or at least what I've heard. What he does out there has nothing can compare to what he does in the locker room and behind the scenes from a leadership standpoint, in the weight room, how hard he works, holding guys accountable. He understands where we're trying to take this program, where we're trying to take this offense, and he's taken the role of trying to be a leader and trying to help implement what our standard is. And I know that he's going to get back to full speed sooner rather than later. He's right on schedule where he needs to be, and we are really, 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 really excited to get Marshawn back along with those other backs that we have.
Secondly, it seems like a guy like him that was maybe going to be expected to be one of the focal points of the offense, even as a true freshman last year, gets hurt. Harris emerges as one of the best backs in the league. That could sometimes kind of affect a relationship, but it seems like that Lloyd is the kind of guy that is going to have no issues kind of sharing the spotlight or getting along with another guy that really had a breakout year last year.
No, there's no sign of that. I think they both push each other. I think it's a great relationship. I mean, competition, iron sharpens iron, the cliche that you hear all over the place. That's what that room is. I mean, there's a number of guys in there that can push each other, but I think they're going to play well off each other. You got to have multiple backs in this day and age. It's hard to stay healthy through an SEC schedule, so we're very fortunate with the depth that we have in that room.
Hill McGranahan.
Hey, Coach, I think you referred to Luke as a natural thrower of the ball. If you could kind of put into words what maybe that looks like, just in general, not necessarily with him, but it's a natural thrower.
You can just tell you can tell some kids have went to some of these, quarterback camps and quarterback coaches, which are really good, but you can tell that they may naturally don't have the ability to make all the different throws, and it's kind of a guided motion that someone's taught them, whereas you have a natural passer, a lot like Aaron Rodgers, a lot like Russell Wilson, those guys, those baseball guys, where they can just really just flip the wrist, and it may come over the top, it may come sidearm, but it's a natural release of the ball, and it's a natural release and a power that they can create from the wrist, and it's beautiful when it happens. That's just now we just get to marry up all the other little attributes that goes along with it. But big brain, check, natural passer, check. So we're excited with where he's going.
Colin Taylor.
Marcus, you mentioned pro style offense when you were in an answer earlier. I'm curious, now that you've been able to see some guys in towel ball and through 3 practices, do you have a better idea of what you'd like this offense to look like, or is it still way too far out to even begin talking about something like that?
I mean, I would love it to look like something like the Green Bay Packers or something like that, but you have no idea. I mean, you have to see like what you have on the field through more than 3 practices, the new guys that are coming in. When it comes time to hit our regular season schedule, like who do we have available? Like we're going to mold it around the talent that we have. We do want to be able to run the football. That's how you win championships, is you run the football and you stop the run, as Coach Beamer will say all the time, like we have to win the line of scrimmage. So, but we also know in this league that you have to pass the ball because, teams and defenses are built to stop the run. So we have to be able to throw it effectively on all down and distances in all situations. So, we have to be able to run it. We have to be able to throw it. It's just, you have to, again, you don't know what situation is going to arise when you have to do that at an elite level, and we're working towards doing that and having the ability to do that.
Josh Kendall.
Hey, Marcus, a couple of things. First, the players who opted out on offense and came back this year, do you think their transition is made easier because it's a new coaching staff, so it's a little bit new for everybody?
I think that, if you told me, I was getting nervous when you said that. If you said, hey, who opted out last year, I would not be able to tell you. I have no earthly idea. Don't really know who's walk-ons, who's scholarship guys, who opted out, who did what. It's a clean slate. I think that's one of the cool things about, the situation we're in is just such a fresh start for everybody.
And second, off that topic, how much have you learned or what's the philosophy you've developed in terms of how much college offenses should carry, how much they should put in this time of year and how much they should carry into Saturdays?
They should carry what they can do into Saturdays, which most of the time should not be a lot. I think going into times like this, a new staff, a spring practice, you can overhaul them a little bit mentally, and asking them to do some things that you probably wouldn't do during the season, just to see what they can do and what they do well. Like I would hate to go in to the spring saying, well, we're just going to do A, B, and C, and that's it. And we're going to take pride in not doing a lot this spring and come out of the spring and not really know what we can do. and then then you're not working on the right stuff for the season. So we're experimenting with everything, like under center, shotgun, huddle, no huddle, tempo, no tempo, play action pass, drop back. Everything is out on the table right now just to see what we can do. And then, of course, when you get in the summer, you trim it down a lot, and then whenever you get into a game plan, you trim it down tremendously so your guys can go out there and not have to think and play fast. But I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go out there with a play sheet like this and hold it over my face and call 165 different plays. We're not going to do that.
How many? Is there a ballpark number for what's right for a collegiate game? You think? How many lines your call sheet should have on it?
I don't think there's a magical number. I know with Coach Rule and I, when we were together in college, like he would always try to get us to be somewhere around 50 or slightly under, and that's all situation and everything. Sometimes you go a little overboard. You'll look up on Wednesday morning and you'll have 100 plays there, which there's no way you're going to execute. So you just keep fighting and working as a staff to trim it down, and hopefully you can get under that century mark.
Thank you, Marcus.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering, does it make it easier for you to evaluate where guys are, since this is so new for everyone, and you can look and say, hey, this is a new system, but this guy is really getting it, or this guy is struggling a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's great. And hopefully I'm interpreting your question the right way. It's cool because I don't know who was a first teamer, a second teamer, a third teamer. I don't know who was considered the short yardage back. I don't know who was considered the receiving tight end. I don't know any of that stuff. So it's a clean slate. So it is good to be able to evaluate different body types, but different attributes, how they fit into our certain schemes that we're trying to attack the defense with, and place them in those different positions. So that's been really good for us, not having a preconceived notion going into this thing as far as evaluating our talent and evaluating our roster.
Lou Bijak.
Marcus, what have you seen from your receiver group so far? Obviously, a lot of new faces there, and got guys like E.J. Jenkins coming in. Well, what have you seen from those guys?
I see a lot of speed, and I see a lot of guys that are working really, really hard, not just in meetings and not just on the practice field, but they're taking these installs and they're getting in groups and they're getting with the quarterbacks, and on their own time, they're working on their craft, and they're working on making sure when we go out to practice, we're not having to line them up different spot. Like they know how to line up. They know their splits. They know their motions. They know their depths. They know their routes and how that all evolves. I've been really pleased with them. I think they run really, really well. I think we have a bunch of different body types. I'm excited to see where it goes. I've heard all the rumblings of what they can't do, but I'm really excited and I'm really pleased in the direction where we're going and what we're going to do.
Chandler Mack.
Hey again, Coach. So yeah, I think Eric said it. Talking to Marshawn last week, he was really excited about creating that 1-2 punch in the backfield with Kevin. As a coordinator, I was wondering, how excited are you to work with both Kevin and Marshawn? And can we expect a couple of packages, maybe with both of them on the field at the same time?
I mean, I would hate to give away. I don't think I'm giving away anything by admitting to that. But yes, like anytime that you can get two backs of that quality on the field at the same time, and they both have different skill sets, they can both catch the ball, great runners, really good in protection. So they allow us to be very multiple, and that's one of the themes of our offense is just different personnel groupings, moving people around, creating mismatches, and they allow us a whole nother layer that a lot of teams don't have the luxury of having.
Harrison Belk.
Thanks for taking the time, Coach. Can you describe just how preparing for this season with the uniqueness around the pandemic and just coming from professionally, how preparing for spring ball has been this year? And what are your goals kind of going forward?
It's really not been a lot of difference from coming from the NFL to here. Our kids go to class in the afternoons, so we have them all morning. We practice in the morning. We meet in the mornings. I think that we've had ample amount of time to implement. You have more time, I guess, in the front end in college than you do in the NFL. You have a whole. We had 9 weeks of workouts. We had 4 weeks of walkthroughs and meetings before we even go out on the field. So we had ample time to kind of make sure our guys were prepared for the first couple of practices. But it's been good. It's been smooth. And I, again, look forward to keep building this thing up and building our guys' football IQ, and then eventually figuring out what we're best at and go from there.
Hilmer Granahan.
Obviously, just one fully padded practice, so you may not be able to tell too much from the offensive linemen, but what have you seen from those guys in your short time with them?
Big, physical. I think they have some very unique athletic attributes. We have some good length. Again, I think Coach Atkin does a really nice job of, before it even starts, of bringing those guys in and starting to create a core belief, a core nucleus, which you got to have with that group. I think they're playing for each other. I think they're playing for our offense, but I mean, they're going to take care of each other, and they play with the toughness, which is what Coach Atkins is all about. And I'm excited to see where they go. Again, one practice in pads, we flashed with some physicality stuff. Again, I think as we continue to learn this offense, they're going to be able to just play and not have to think as much, and that'll help them in their pass pro. We are very excited about a lot of those guys. I mean, we have probably 7 to 8 guys that we could throw out there and play right now and not blink, which is a luxury in this league.
I kind of following up on that, and you've said a couple of times you don't pay attention or know really much about the past, but a lot of those guys have started and played a ton, which you probably encountered over watching the film. Is that apparent that you have a pretty veteran group when you see
Tell they're they have a veteran mindset. They practice with confidence, and you could, like you said, you can tell that they've calloused up a little bit from the last year or two of getting game reps, and there's no substitute for game reps, and there's no substitute whatsoever for SEC game reps and the toughness that creates. So they have a lot going for them. Again, I think Coach Atkins is doing a really nice job with them, and I look forward to practices 4, 5, 6 once we get to a little bit more physical style of practice. Let's see how they hold up and how they allow us to execute.
Matt Tantil.
Hey, Coach. Now that you're just about settled into your job, what has the relationship building with players been like?
It's been awesome. That's the whole thing is once they realize that when you say, hey, let's hang out and develop a relationship, come sit in my office, talk to me. Once they realize that is legit, and our staff does an unbelievable job, through Coach Beamer of, like, we'll randomly text guys Friday night, Saturday night, just to let them know I might be with my daughter watching TV right now, but I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about what how I'm going to help you and how you're going to help us. But just that constant, just trying to absorb ourselves into their lives, so that one, they trust us, because when you coach them, they have to have a trust there, and we have to trust them, and you can't do that without a relationship. And it's just been really cool to see guys come up here with smiles on their face and sitting in the offices. We invite them to come sit in offensive staff meetings. So one day, 2 weeks ago, I think we had 4 offensive linemen, a tight end, and 3 quarterbacks in the offensive staff room, just in and out, just watching the film with us, talking, cutting up. So I think that's going to go a long way in the future of this program. Like Coach Beamer's setting, just the importance of relationships with our players and the importance of communication. And I think that's going to pay great dividends moving forward.
Colin Taylor.
Marcus, I think Nick Muse was pretty complimentary of you in his press conference whenever he had it, and said he even came up and watched some basketball with you last week. I'm curious, what have you seen from him in terms of a veteran guy on this team, and what does his skill set do for this offense? What can he bring with that skill set?
I knew about Nick. I've watched the tape, and of course he was running around with a big knee brace on last year, coming off an injury. So I didn't know how well he was going to be able to move, change direction, short area quickness, things of that nature. I knew he could catch the ball really well. I knew he was a smart kid, but he's shown like he can execute the route tree. He can stretch the defense. He can stretch the underneath coverage. We talk all the time, like the tight end is one of the most important parts of our offense. In 3 practices, we completed a ball to the tight ends over 46 times in 7-on-7 and team, and there's nowhere else in the country that could even begin to rival that, and not just certain route. Like I think there was 9 different routes on the route tree. So, I mean, it's a great position to play, and I think he fits the mold. And we got a bunch of other guys in that room that do certain things athletically and trait-wise that are going to allow that position to really just keep growing and growing and growing.
John Dell.
Marcus, you've known Shane Beamer for a very long time. What's it like over the last 3 months getting to spectate him now in a new light as a head coach? And what's it been like, just meshing offensive minds together now that you're on a staff in high-ranking positions?
It's been awesome. It's been really, really cool to see him from the very first meeting, where he did a great job, to where he is now. Just one of the great attributes that Coach Beamer has is his consistency. and his consistency to be a pro, and how he operates daily, how he communicates with the staff, how he communicates with the players. He communicated early on, this is our standard, how he holds us up to that every single day. It's not up and down. It's amazing how hard he works in recruiting, relentless recruiter, always on the phone with guys. Like, it's just been really cool to see. I've never seen that part of him other than just us talking on the phone and talking about it, but to see that in person has been really, really impressive. And then just to see his communication in team meetings, how he's laying out his plans, and how it's cool because he's laying out a plan, and you got a group of coaches that do anything in the world for him and following that plan, and you start to see some success, and you start to see the needle move in the direction which we're trying to go. So from that standpoint, it's been really cool. And then offensively, like, just to sit down and watch cut-ups with him, watch Oklahoma cut-ups, watch Carolina cut-ups, watch all these different offenses that we've been in, and start to, kind of mold this thing together and bounce ideas off each other. People don't give him enough credit for being a really, really, really smart offensive mind. They just put him with special teams and head coach. Like, he's a really, really bright offensive mind, and has helped me tremendously just early on, just with certain, like, just figuring things out, how we can make things more simple, more player friendly. And so it's been cool. I'm anxious to keep it going.
Thank you.
Hale McGranahan.
If I misheard you, please excuse me, but did you say that y'all have invited offensive players to come in, sit on the staff meetings with you guys?
Oh, yeah. Shoot, yeah. We even, just to make it COVID friendly, we moved into a whole another room where everybody was 6 feet apart.
Is that something that you've done at other places, or other people do it as well, or is that something you need?
I don't know if other people do it. I just know that the only way that you're going to have success is if we're in this thing together. And again, that's cliche, and you can write that on a Vince Lombardi quote and all that stuff, but it's the truth. And until you are bought in to do that, it's never going to happen. It'll all be fake. You may have better players than everybody else, but there's not going to be a unique relationship that's needed to get to the next level consistently. It's a consistency. So, all comers can come up there. We coach them up. It's amazing how much they can learn just in that environment. And then they see how you're working and watching the tape and how they fit in. And again, slowly but surely, it turns in from us, the players, you, the coaches, to we, the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Harrison Belk.
What has been your favorite part about the city of Columbia since taking the job to come here?
I would love to give you a lot. Like, I don't know. I've been in the football facility, and I've been to the hotel, and then now I'm living in a condo here beside the stadium, and I kind of go A to B, A to B, A to B. And in this world of COVID, we're not going to go out there and risk anything. From that standpoint, I think it's unbelievable. I've never heard this many people brag about a city. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a capital city. There's a lot of things to do. You can go to college in a city, have that city environment, yet you're in the SEC. I think that's really cool. But I'm anxious, to get out in the Riverwalk and get to 5 Points when everything clears up, take my family around, go for walks. Can't wait to absorb ourselves in, the city for sure.
Greg Hadley.
Marcus, you mentioned when you're evaluating quarterbacks that you look for a big brain. What does that exactly entail? Are you just talking football IQ, or is it something more than that?
Football IQ, retaining, processing. It's amazing how there was a study, and I'm not even going to begin to quote it, and I'm going to speak as factual as I possibly can here, but it's amazing the amount of Hall of Fame quarterbacks that don't have the high ACT, SAT scores. Like, sometimes the high SAT scores have trouble processing, right? They're trying to figure things out, and it doesn't just happen. A lot of the guys that are the elite football brains are the ones that are maybe not the smartest intellectually from a book standpoint, but just common sense, and they're able to see things, figure them out on the run, right? Process, anticipate. That's, to me, what a big brain is. And again, a big brain, to me, I should have elaborated on that. And then it goes along with retaining and retention football, right? And be able to have common sense and a high football IQ. But I think, the football IQ and the processing is the most crucial part of a quarterback. If you have to think a lot, you're not going to play fast, and you're going to be a half a second behind. If you can process, then you're just reacting, and just the natural passer ability, natural anticipation takes place, and that's when you have a special one.
John Whittle.
After getting him on the field for a while, how much do you feel like Luke Doty's legs can be a benefit to you guys in your offense? And And how much do you want to be able to accentuate that when it comes to games on Saturday and in the playbook?
I think his legs and lower body are crucial, and I know what they can do. I mean, from an athletic standpoint, extending the play, off schedule plays, design quarterback runs. I think we all know what that can be. The cool thing for us is now forcing him this spring to not use his legs. Again, we can have him go run around and try to beat the defense and do that, but his development we will not have developed him in the right way. So what I'm trying to get him to do right now is if we have to run, great run, but let's force ourselves to make the throw. Because when the bullets start hitting and the bullets are flying, we're going to use those legs for 12, 13, 14 games. Right now, we're just trying to develop him into being the best passer he can possibly be.
Matt Tentiel.
Hey, Coach. Is there anything different from your time with the Gamecocks so far that has been different from like your other stops in the past?
Not really. No, it's all pretty. I mean, again, I've been around some really good coaches, and Coach Rule was all about communication, was all about relationships, was all about consistency, and ironically enough, another great coach, Coach Beamer, is about the same stuff. So it's really not hard. You just have to buy in and do them every day. I mean, it's easy. Again, we were laughing about. There's a book called The Slight Edge about things that are easy to do, not hard to do, easy to do, but hard to do at the same time. Like we have to show up and do that every day, like just a commitment to the little things.
Colin Taylor.
Marcus, I'm curious now that you've built this 2021 class, how do you feel like the recruiting has gone so far for 2022? Where do you feel like you guys are without naming players? And how excited are you to potentially get guys back on campus this summer?
It's going to be exciting. We would love to go out and get 12 commitments right now and talk about our stars and all that great stuff. But I mean, again, don't get tired of hearing this, relationships and consistency. Like we're recruiting kids that have never even seen us play, coach, do anything. I mean, it's still a long way between now and signing day. So we're continually just talking to guys, consistently talking to guys. And we feel very confident when they get on campus and they can see our staff, visit with our staff, feel the energy of our staff, watch us play, watch the style of defense, watch the style of special teams, watch the style of offense we play. Then, just because they're going somewhere now doesn't mean they're going to end up there. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to panic. The worst thing we could do right now is panic and try to just get things on a list, get names on a list that may not fit what we're looking for. So I think we're headed in the right direction. We got some really good relationships built, and I think it's only going to go up from there.
Last question goes to John Del Bianco.
Marcus, in the 3 weeks that you've seen Kevin Harris, on a football field, running with the football in his hands, just what has really stood out to you, seeing him in person rather than just seeing him on film? And
smooth balance. Again, very sharp, very high football IQ, understands protections. He runs really, really, and again, having Coach Monterio, Coach Hardesty, who was a receiver coach the last couple of years, coach him in our offense, being able to run the routes and the different route tree of a running back. It's been good to see him execute those things. Again, catching the ball, just everything that is as advertised with him, he's shown on the practice field, which is good.